What up, guys? Welcome to the Son of Wonder. Transformers 1 has arrived, so let's conversationalize. Alright, guys, so I'm a little bit late to the party on this one, but Transformers 1 is here. It was one of my most anticipated for the rest of this year, and honestly, I kind of loved it. And I think the main reason I loved it is because this is a Transformers movie that actually does a good job at being a Transformers movie. About Transformers. It's a wonder, I know. I mean, such a shocking concept for a Transformers movie to be about Transformers. But in this case, it actually is about Transformers. It's about the bots. The bots, and specifically the story of Optimus Prime before he was Optimus Prime, and Megatron before he was Megatron. And this one will be a non-spoiler review, so I'm not going to give any specifics, but I'm going to start off with the general things that I didn't love, because there were a few things that I thought were flawed. And then I'm going to get into the things I did love. And again, largely, I thought that this is by far the best Transformers film. Did the best job with story, and we'll get into it. But starting off with the things I didn't like. In the trailers, like when the first trailer arrived, I did a video about that. And I talked about how I didn't really want it to be like MCU humor all throughout the movie. And I didn't want that to get in the way of the story. And in the long run, I don't think it does. I do think there are some moments where the jokes don't land. I think there are certain moments that are drug out too long. At the same time, though, I don't think there's a moment where something that needs to be serious is subverted and it has like a negative effect on the film. And what I'll say about the slow parts is there's like a moment between the beginning of the movie and the middle where it gets really good that is like more drawn out, and there's not a lot of good particular standout stuff in there. And so that's, I would say, the only dragging part of the film is that specific section that I'm talking about. When you see the movie, you'll probably realize what I'm talking about, or you'll laugh, because it's kind of like the main part of the movie where all the jokes and some hijinks ensue. That was the part I wasn't a big fan of. I guess another criticism in here is I didn't love the robot, the Autobot played by Scarlett Johansson, Alita 1. Wasn't overly fond of her character. I thought she was they made her character to be what I felt was a bit unnecessarily critical of Optimus. They overdid it a bit in the movie. There are a few lines she has and lines that are related to her character that I wasn't overly fond of. But it wasn't her presence in the film was not negative enough to really impact my overall enjoyment of the movie. So don't think her character is awful or anything. I just wasn't overly fond of her. And other than maybe a few lines of dialogue that I thought were a little bit too on the nose and they could have used some more subtlety, which that's definitely a nitpick. Other than that, I only have good things to say. So the thing I love most about this movie is, like I said in the beginning, it is a Transformers film. But it's funny because last year, when Transformers Rise of the Beast came out, I did a review for that movie. But before the movie came out, I also did a Transformers franchise review. And I talked about my feelings about the Transformers franchise up to that point, and what my pitch for a Transformers movie would be, which was, and I said this before I had any knowledge of this film's existence. I said, I would like a Transformers movie that details the relationship, the friendship, of Optimus Prime and Megatron before they were Optimus Prime and Megatron on Cybertron, and I want it to be a trilogy that goes over all that stuff, Megatron's fall to the villainous side, and then going over the war of Cybertron, and maybe the last movie can be them heading for Earth. I said that then, without any knowledge that this movie existed. Very soon after releasing that video, talking about my pitch, I see that they're doing this Transformers 1 movie. And the synopsis literally reads, a movie detailing the friendship between Optimus and Megatron before they became Optimus and Megatron on Cybertron, and the synopsis read something to that effect, and I was just like, what? That's literally exactly what I said, and so I got exactly what I wanted. But then when the first trailer came out, I wasn't sure because it seemed like they were going for more of that jokey tone. This movie really does justice, I feel, to what you would imagine Optimus and Megatron's relationship to be before they were enemies. There's a genuine brotherhood there. There's a genuine friendship. And even though I don't like most of the movies, the Michael Bay films, it's always alluded to that the Optimus and Megatron's bond was more like brothers. They were very close friends before they fought each other. And this movie just does a phenomenal job of telling that story in a way that is believable. And it also shows, obviously Megatron in a light that we've never seen before because we've only ever seen him evil. But in this movie, we get to see him not evil, and we get to see his fall from grace. And I think, without spoilers, that is particularly the thing that they did well, is they gave Megatron a reason for being evil while also not compromising the fact that he is indeed evil. Like, they didn't make him some kind of like, oh, he's just misunderstood, you should just feel bad for him, look at all the, like, no. The movie, it makes it clear on no uncertain terms by the end of the film that he is in the wrong. But his journey toward, like, his fall from grace, if you will, that is the story that is done the best. I think Megatron's part in this movie is by far the best aspect of this film, is watching his descent into evil and seeing the different things that happen that change his perception on life and change his perception on how life should work and who should conquer who and like all these different things. I think that part of the story is done so brilliantly. And in my video, I had said that I wasn't a fan of the guy that they got to be young Megatron. I liked the idea of Chris Hemsworth being young Optimus Prime, and he does a really good job. Chris Hemsworth does phenomenal job at capturing this, what you would imagine this more lighthearted and more youthful version of Optimus to be and sound like. And by the end of the movie, he really does get that Peter Cullen kind of vibe going on. But I said that I did not love who they got to play young Megatron. And I will say this, even though I probably still would have chosen somebody with a bit more of a dramatic and menacing voice, I do really appreciate what this guy did with Megatron, and that he also, by the end of the film, his voice evolved. We'll just say that. And he did a really good job of capturing the anger of Megatron. And there are so many different story details in here that if I do a spoiler review, I'll definitely get into those, that I just really love the different details they added. When it comes to the Transformers lore, they do incorporate some of that as well. And I'm not like I don't think I'm a Transformers super fan. Like, I don't know everything there is to know about the lore. I'm like in between casual and super fan. Like, I've seen the cartoon Transformers Prime, which I think is like the best Transformers thing ever. Goes into the lore. The bots feel like real characters. The stakes feel real. Megatron is phenomenal. It's Peter Cullen and Frank Welker. Everything about that cartoon is amazing. And there are elements of that cartoon that I feel like are placed in this movie a little bit. Not like specifically, but as far as the tone goes, that I really appreciated. But when it comes to the lore, they do incorporate some of the stuff that I had already known. They take it seriously. The whole movie is not jokes. It's like the first half of the movie is the more lighthearted vibe, and then it gets into the grittier stuff. And once it does that, largely the jokes kind of stop. And, there is some here and there, but not enough to overpower the film, not enough to, so many films now, they're just trying to subvert every serious moment with a joke, and it just doesn't work. But with this movie, they knew when not to tell a joke, and I think that was one of the most important things they could have remembered and done with this film, is know when not to tell a joke. And they let the story speak for itself. They let the audience go on this journey with the characters, and they take the lore and the stuff that's happening in the film very seriously. And I think that was by far the best decision they could have made when it came to the lore, when it came to the characters, even though they were trying to, it's still like a kid's movie, so they're still trying to go for a jokey tone. At certain parts, they didn't let it overpower the film, and I am so glad they didn't. And, the best part, one of the best parts of this movie, other than the Megatron stuff, no humans. We don't have to deal with any humans. No Earth, no humans, no nothing. There's none of that. They let this movie be set on Cybertron. I don't watch a Transformers movie to watch humans watching Transformers. I watch a Transformers movie to watch Transformers and the story about the Transformers. And Optimus Prime and Megatron, I don't think, get enough credit as being one of the most iconic hero and villain duos of all time, I think. I think Megatron is a way better villain than he's given status for. And, Optimus Prime the same. And I'm so glad that this movie treats those characters like that. Like they have this status. And they treat the characters with respect. And in a day and age where so many times you have these legacy movies or these movies being made about a certain character, whether it's a prequel or a sequel or a remake or whatever, they'll just rip the character you love down, disrespect them. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is a phenomenal example. This movie does not do that. This movie treats the characters the way they should be treated, with the respect that they deserve, and allows the story to unfold in a way that is interesting and thought-provoking. And again, Megatron's story, his basically turn to the dark side, if you will, is done so well. And I really hope that this story gets to continue, that they get to make more films in this specific version of the Transformers universe to flesh out the story even more, because I would love to see more of this interpretation. Like I said before, I think this is by far the best Transformers film, because it's actually about the Transformers. It captures that mythological aspect that the previous movies had largely lacked because they focused too much on the human characters. This gets all of it. It gets the lore, it gets what the characters mean, it gets the meanings of the story, and I highly recommend this movie, and this is the Transformers movie I've been waiting for. So let me know what you guys thought about it down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a very blessed day. May the Lord be with you. May the Force be with you. Goodbye. And that's a wrap.